Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Dave.
Good evening.
Just getting my There we go, getting my microphone set up here. Anyway, good evening, everybody. I have a little itinerary I typed up and try to follow along with it. Just busy day today, and I lost my internet a little while ago, and so little challenge trying to get the fiber back up. So, how's everybody tonight? While I get this ready.
Doing good. Thank you for
Good.
putting this together.
Yeah. What we want to do tonight is pretty much just introduce you to how to use the Stream Deck with both Node-RED and FRStack. And what I'm going to do is I'll put together some flows that I have for my the Flex Radio, Power Genius, Tuner Genius, Antenna Genius, my DLI Web Switch Pro, which I use for AC control, the Rig Runner 4005i, which I use for DC, an RT21 controller for rotor, which is plugged directly into a Raspberry Pi, and just go through everything of how it's set up, the basics of how everything works, show you some examples, and then what I'm going to do is put everything together in a zip file along with a README that will have links to all the various sites that you'll need to go to for like the plugins and any information you may need for like the FRStack commands and such. And so anyway, just logging in the there we go. That's what I wanted. All right. So again, about myself, I'm Dave WO2X, and been real quick history of what I do at Node-RED is I've been using Node-RED here probably for about 8 years now, 7, 8 years. It started as a necessity when I was in the hospital, after surgery and needing to control things, call my wife and say, "Hey, can you go inside and flip a switch because this is locked up or something?" And 3 o'clock in the morning, and she didn't like that. So Andreas N6NU had started with Node-RED way back, um, and he was using it to write a control panel for his step IR antenna, and so him, myself, Mike Walker, and a couple other people got together and started using it, and we formed the Node-RED for Ham radio site, and there's almost 2,800 people now worldwide on the site, and so it's been pretty busy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share one of my windows here. Let me just get this over. I've got just redid my monitors here in the shack, and I have a 49-inch ultra wide, and I also have a 34-inch ultra wide. So I've shrunk it down. So regular widescreen monitors, it should do pretty well. So let me share my screen here, and let's see. There we go. Share this.
Hey, Dave.
So that's now you should see my dashboard now on the screen. And you guys just see my Node-RED dashboard?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. All right. Good. I just want to make sure I had that up. Um, so the first thing is I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between a bunch of different pages and stuff. Um, First thing is introduction to Node-RED real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. A lot of you guys are familiar with this already. Node-RED is a low-code programming environment written by IBM. Its purpose was developed back in 2013, and the purpose was to allow Internet of Thing devices, IoT devices, to communicate. And whether you have something that has a serial connection and another device has a USB connection, you can make those two devices talk to each other, even if they use different languages. Node-RED can actually do the translations. So if you wanted to take the frequency from an ICOM and control through the API a Flex antenna genius, you could do that, through Node-RED. So the site for Node-RED itself is nodered.org, and this is a pretty decent site, kind of give you an idea of how how it works. The Node-RED server can run on a Raspberry Pi, which I run it on, Windows, Linux, Mac computer. So you have different ways of running it. I prefer the Raspberry Pi. It just runs on a network, uses very low power. I can connect my rotor controller directly into it, and it's been very, very reliable for me. I do have, and I'm running a different Pi tonight, and I'll stop sharing for a minute. My Node-RED server is actually a little argon case. It's an aluminum case, and it fits an NVMe drive in it. So I'm actually booting it's a Raspberry Pi 5, and it boots off of the NVMe drive in PCI Express 3 mode. So it's very fast, a lot faster than off an SD card. So let me go back to sharing my screen, and we'll continue on. And then here we go. All right. So back to here now, and so Node-RED kind of gives you an idea. This is their, IBM site that they had created, and it's open source. And the group that myself and Mike Walker and Andreas N6NU we started was a group called Node-RED for Ham Radio. It's a groups IO site, and a lot of you guys are probably familiar with it. And what I'll be doing is this video is going to be posted up on YouTube, and in the comments, I'll be listing all these links that we're covering tonight, so you don't have to remember anything right now. On the website, um, it's pretty good. I'm not logged in. I got to log in. So, yeah, where are we at? We'll log in with Google, and but yeah, so it's a pretty neat site, and there's a lot of stuff on there. And one of the things is in the file section, there's a lot of flows for Node-RED that are already written for different equipment. Some of the things you can do with Node-RED: radios, amplifiers, tuners, antenna switches, relays, AC control, DC control, rotor control, uh, almost anything that has a serial USB or network interface to it, you can control with Node-RED and also get data from those devices into Node-RED to show on your dashboard. And so we'll continue on now. And again, the site here in the file section, feel free to use any of these files. The wiki section here for people who are new to Node-RED, there is, I wrote here this wiki here on how to install Node-RED on a Raspberry Pi 64-bit operating system. and it walks you through step by step on getting everything ready to load your first flow and get operational. So that's in the wiki section again, and it's under the setting up Node-RED on the 64-bit Raspberry Pi. And so, and then, and again, with the Node-RED server, from the Node-RED site itself, it can give you directions on how to set it up on a Pi, how to set it up on a Windows computer or Linux computer. Um, and again, with the Node-RED and ham radio, one of the nice things about it is to keep everything on a single page. And with my dashboard here, I have on the right, I have my AC control. I can turn outlets on and off. I can turn the dummy load on. That's the fan and the dummy load. I can turn it off. Um, I can sit there and turn my Tuner Genius DC on and off. Power Genius, I can turn the Power Genius from standby to operate. Uh, the Tuner Genius, the Antenna Genius shows which antenna is active. If I want to select a different antenna, I can click it and it will switch antennas. And of course, there it goes. It's a little slow. And then, the Flex radio is just showing telemetry from the radio, but you can set it up with buttons to control the radio. Um, Power Genius, again, you're getting the metering from the amplifier, forward power, SWR, temperature, harmonic load temperature, your AC voltage, your DC voltage, your current. You can adjust the fan speed on the amplifier if you want. And Tuner Genius, again, you can initiate a tune cycle just by clicking the tune button, and it'll sit there and tune the antenna. It shows you which side of the Tuner Genius is active, A or B. I have the SO2R version. Rotor control is pretty cool. I have buttons here that are pre-programmed for different directions. So if I wanted to go towards Hawaii, I can just click on 280 and the rotor will sit there and turn to Hawaii. Or I can click anywheres on the map. I'll stop it. I just click anywheres on the map and it will turn in that direction. This is using what they call SVG graphics, and Tormod LA9 VKA was very instrumental in a lot of the development of the SVG graphics that we're using in Node-RED. He was the first one to come up with the rotor map using the azimuth map and creating the wedge for the direction and all the math that goes behind the SVG graphics. And when we get into the Stream Deck with the buttons, he also did some SVG graphics where you can send stuff to the buttons on the Stream Deck. Um, then, up on top where I have a button just showing the heading. And in the manual and tracking, my rotor flow that I have it interfaced to AC log. If I have AC log running, which I'll bring up right now, um, probably make a probably won't work because I haven't tested it in a while. But if I were to put in a call sign and then hit enter, oh, I got to put in tracking, and it should send it to AC log and then turn it. So from Node-RED, which you can run on your smartphone, if you have AC log running on your home computer, uh, you'll be able to put in a call sign and have the rotor turn automatically when you log the contact. When you make the contact, you can click log contact and it would log it into AC log. And you can modify that for any logging program that has any kind of an API to get information in and out. Uh, the AC power, I'm using a Digital Loggers Web Switch Pro. Again, I'll have a link to that in the description. And on the DC power, I'm using the West Mountain Radio Rig Runner 4005i, and they've been out of stock for over 2 years on that. I don't know if they'll ever get them back in stock. We'll continue on here with the Stream Deck. With the Stream Deck, we have there's different versions of the Stream Deck, and there's a 15 button, 32 button, 8 button, and Stream Deck Plus. And there's also a Stream Deck pedal, which is a little foot pedal that you can use as a PTT or other functions. So the Stream Deck site, this is the 15 button standard model. Again, they have a mini, and then they have and then they also have here's the mini, the little mini that they have. Here's the 32 button that like I have. Um, and then they actually have a really big one if you want to get crazy. But also they have the Stream Deck Plus, and the Stream Deck Plus, if you look at it, it's got 8 buttons, it's got 4 knobs, and it's got this touchscreen bar here, LCD bar. And if you slide the bar, it brings up another page of 8 buttons and 4 knobs. So you can have multiple pages that you can have knobs and buttons. And I'll show you how I kind of went through some of the programming for the demonstration tonight. And if I'm going too fast or anything, just ask, I'll slow down. Um, Again, one of the reasons to use a Stream Deck is you can have it sitting right next to your keyboard, have quick access to it, be able to control functions, and just when you're in the middle of a contest or something, it's pretty nice. Like here, I'll drag this over here. Well, actually, you know what? I'll do this. Let me just bring this down. What are we? I just want to get this set right with the window. Yeah. But so if I go into share, like for example, here's my Smart SDR for Windows, and one of the things is my receiver low cut, high cut. I have buttons, I have knobs on my Stream Deck, and I could just sit there and adjust the bandwidth quickly instead of going in to the trapezoid or anything else to adjust it. It makes it nice and easy. If you're on sideband and somebody's interfering, in the contest or splattering, you can narrow up and then widen back out after. Um, you can adjust your power, and I'll get into it with the Stream Deck. One of the things, let me just do this. If I share that monitor, it's going to where's the all right. So here's my Stream Deck, and this is the programming software for it. And so now what you're looking at, that's my 32 button Stream Deck, the way I have it programmed right now for the demo tonight. And how I have mine set up on the right are AC buttons. I can turn eight different AC outlets on and off. So I can turn outlet 3 on and off just by, I'm going to hit the button on the Stream Deck, and you'll see that it turns on. I hit the button again and turns off. The rotor control buttons, I have one button that shows the actual azimuth. It's at 282 degrees. And if I hit 0 for north on the Stream Deck, you'll see it actually tracks and shows you its current position. And then, I have the pre-programmed rotor control positions. Um, shows me which radio is on the is being used by the Tuner Genius. I can go to operator standby on the Tuner Genius by clicking the button on the Stream Deck, and it'll toggle it. Same thing with the amplifier. And I initiate a tune cycle. If I hit tune, it goes through and initiates a tune cycle on the on the radio. So a lot of these buttons are communicating in different ways. All of the buttons I mentioned so far are using what they call WebSocket commands. So the Stream Deck is sending WebSocket commands to Node-RED, and Node-RED is interpreting a button push and then doing something with that button push. And you can command it to do almost anything. You can have one button that turns several devices on, another button to, and then hit it again, and it'll turn all those devices off. So if you want to have it one button to turn on your power supply, wait 2 minutes, turn on the radio, turn on the amplifier, turn on the tuner, turn on the rotor controller, and then when you're done, it reverses the process. You can do it, in between the WebSocket command from Stream Deck, and then in Node-RED, you can write a function that would turn around and execute those different commands to the different outlets. The other way that the Stream Deck can communicate is through what they call REST commands to FRStack. And I have FRStack running right now on my computer here connected to the radio. And if I click on the button here in the upper left that says 6600M, which is now an 8600, but I click that button and brings up, it's a menu button. And what I've done, I'll show you on the Stream Deck under programming. When you go into that button here, you click the button in the programming software. When you highlight the button's down here, and there's a drop down arrow, and you can load an image. You can set it from a file, the image. You can create a new icon. There's an icon builder that Elgato has that's online. There's an icon library of pre-programmed or pre-made icons that you can use. You can also set it to default. So if I go to the K4, which I don't have anymore, and I come over here, I set it to default, and that's the default. It's a folder icon. So the 6600M is a folder. So I just put a little picture of radio on the front of it. And then, so it's a folder icon. And then by pushing it on the Stream Deck, it brings up the next level. It opens up that folder. And in that folder, I have other buttons here. So for bands, if I press the bands, that's another folder button that then I have all my different bands that I can just switch the radio to whatever band I want to go to by pushing the button on the Stream Deck. My radio just went to 20 meters, 12 meters, 30 meters. And so, right at my fingertips, I can easily change bands if I want. You can move your most commonly used buttons onto the main screen and have the main screen set up with all your common buttons, and then have a button to go to the next screen. If you look at the little arrow button down here, that goes to the next page. So if I hit that, it goes to the next page on the Stream Deck. And then you have either next page again, or you have a back. So next page again, or you can go back a page. So you have the ability in the Stream Deck to create folders, or you have the ability in the Stream Deck to go to a different pages, and you could create as many pages as you like. So each time you go to down a page, to go back, you can also create a link that will bring you back to the home page with one click. So you don't have to go from page 4 and you keep clicking backwards. You can have a button set up that will bring you right back to page 1 again, which is your main screen. And same thing with the folders. You can have the folders where As you drill down into folders, instead of going up, you can have a button that would bring you to the main screen again. And so what I've done here is, and we'll get into some of this now. We're going to go through some of the stuff with this. And since we're on the Flex radio, we'll start with the FRStack and the REST commands. And FRStack, and what I'm going to do here is switch my screen share to let's see, go back to here. And so um, here's the home page for MKCM software, written by Mark W3II. He wrote FRStack, and so FRStack here is a companion utility for the Flex, and it also has interfacing to the Power Genius amp, the SPE tuner, SPE amplifier, I should say, step-by-R antenna, and it's pretty handy utility if you have a flex radio, and it allows you to send REST commands, and bring it up here, and I got too many pages open right now. Horse stack. As I say, here's my screen now, and you can see how I got it's widescreen. It's too wide to view. So what I wanted to do is go down into FRStack. I don't know why the app's not showing up on here. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Um, so this is FRStack here, and you can see you got a connection to the radio. And you have pre-programmed memories that you can create for each band. So if I wanted to go to 7166, I could just click the button and the radio would go to 7166. Um, and again, when you go into radios, you can set it to auto connect to your radio. Uh, and then you can either connect, disconnect. You can go through all these different commands here from FRStack. But more importantly, when you go into help and then rest help, it brings up a whole thing here on setting up the rest commands to do different functions. For example, we'll get into some of the commands under slices and radios and what you can do with it. And, just give you a demonstration of that now. So what we'll do is go back to the Stream Deck. And under the 6600M, for example, under modes, let's say digital U. So the programming, you give it a title that shows up on the button, which is DigiU. I don't want to do that. There we go. So DigiU is a title that shows up on the button. The URL is important. When you set up your Stream Deck the first time, if you scroll down, you can set up URL 1, URL 2. And I have two different ones. And the reason being is if I'm running FRStack on my PC and the Stream Deck is plugged into the PC, I use the loopback address 127.0.0.1. And for a PC, you use port 13522 slash API. So that has to be in there for the URL. So that's where it points to for FRStack. And then from there, you would have the command that it would send. And I'll get to that in a second. If you're going to a Raspberry Pi, if FRStack were running on a Raspberry Pi, it would be the IP address of your Pi and then colon and then 5025, 5025, and that's the port number for the Pi. And on Mark's website, the FRStack website, he has this documented. So again, in the link to the description on the video I'm going to post, I'll have links to FRStack both for the Windows and for the Linux version. And the Linux version is what you would use on a Raspberry Pi. Also on the Node-RED for Ham radio site, I do have under the wiki section, there is a section on installing FRStack on the Raspberry Pi in addition to Node-RED. So now when you go to set up your URL, I have it pointed URL 1, which is going to FRStack on the PC. So that's what I set up for the demo. So I'm using URL 1, which is the PC, and then the command is going to be active slice and then mode. So in FRStack in their documentation, uh, he gives you the what would be the URL or the destination of the command, which is going to be slash active slice slash mode. And then the command itself is going to be the parameter, PARAM. And then in this case, it equals DIGU for digital U. So you would put that in the button, and then that button would be created. So for AM, it's the same URL. And again, it's the active slice. And you can change this from active slice to slice one, slice two, I mean, slice A, slice B. So if you wanted to have buttons dedicated to control bands or modes or for a specific slice, you would change active slice to be slice A, slice B, or C or D. And then it would be mode if you're doing modes, or like for example, frequency. Um, Actually, if you go to bands, uh, it would be active slice and then slash band. And then the parameter would be the band, 30 meters, for example. So with the FRStack, again, you could sit there and say, frequency. Now with frequency, you can set your step up and down, your step size. In this case, right now, the step goes up or down. So if I'm set for a 1 kilohertz step size, if I hit step plus, my radio is going to go up. If I hit step minus, it's going to go down. And you can set the step right here. And right now it's set for 50. So the step size is actually 50 hertz right now. Frequency up and down, same thing. And that will move up. That's going to 1 kilohertz steps for frequency up and down. And then the button here just is active slice and then freak. And that's just showing me the frequency that the radio is on, 7166 right now. You could turn scan on and off. So there's no parameter for that. It's just to hit it and it toggles scan on, scan off. And it'll scan through the memories that you have defined in FRStack. If I click the keypad, it'll bring up a numeric keypad where I can go 14.150 and then hit enter, and my radio just moved to 14.150. So you can see it's on 14.150 on this button here. So you have a keypad where you can do a direct frequency entry. You can change your pan adapter. If you want to have pre-programmed widths for the pan adapter, you can zoom in, zoom out on the pan adapter. Uh, and yeah, it's pretty nice. And the other thing is profiles. You can actually have it where you can toggle through different profiles. If you have profiles created, and if you go into profiles, like right here, you can see I have different profiles created, and I could just click a profile button, and it would load a profile on the radio. And now Mark W3II, when you set this up with the Stream Deck, he has information on how to set it up with the Stream Deck using the REST commands. He also has sample profiles for the Stream Deck that you can load in that have these buttons already predefined, and you could just see how they're defined, and then either edit them, change them, copy them. But it gives you a starting point that you don't have to try and figure everything out yourself. Also, everything you see here, I'm going to be putting into one zip file, the profiles for the Stream Deck and the Stream Deck Plus. The plugins, there's two plugins that you'll need. One is loaded from Stream Deck. So under plugins, the first one is the WebSocket profile plugin. So if I were to go into plugins, you'll see there's a WebSocket plugin right here, WebSocket Proxy, and you would actually go in and if I delete this here, um, and type in WebSocket, move this a little bit so I can see what's going on here, plugins, and then it'll search for WebSocket, and you'll find that there's the WebSocket Proxy. So you'll need to install that first, and mine's already installed. So when you first get your Stream Deck and you load everything up, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select your Stream Deck that you're connecting to, and in this case, it's my 32 button. You would load into WebSocket Proxy. So you go over to here, and what you're going to do is you're going to go to Plugins, and you're going to go to WebSocket, and then you're going to install that plugin. And then the other one you want is one that we have to go to a website for. And that one there is, get my notes up. Yeah, the other one is move this over here. Sorry. Um, when you get into the web into the west into the WebSockets, this isn't the right one that I had. Oh well. We'll get to it. So under FRStack, he has on GitHub. Um, so he has a site here, and I'll have this link in the notes. On GitHub, Mark has the repository, and in here, you'll see that there are sample profiles for the Stream Deck Plus, for the Stream Deck Pedal, and for the Stream Deck, which is the 15 button model. You can load that on the 32 button or the 8 button. If you load it on the mini, it will only load, the few buttons. If you load it on the 32 button, it'll just load 15 of the buttons. But it's a gives you an idea of how you can program it up, and he has it configured with the radio, and then drilling down to the different folders to get the bands and modes and things like that, antenna switching, and then so that's on the GitHub site. And then the other one you need is the version 1.4 plugin, and I'll have a link to that. And that's a plugin which I've already downloaded and installed, and that will show up as a REST call, which is down. Let me change back to the FRStack. to the Stream Deck. So on the Stream Deck, under FRStack 1.4, when you install that plugin, you're going to have your REST call. You're going to have state, level, and toggle plugins. And so what you can do now is you can have an FRStack state. You could just drag that into a button, and now it's going to be URL1, which is talking to FRStack, and we're just going to call it test. And now you can select the slice A, action we want. We want to say, okay, we want to know, let's say, AGCT, right? And now you can have a duck. Now what you can do is you can do up, down, any actions you want, and it would show you those actions. Um, that's really not a good example of the toggle. The toggle would be like turning wide noise blanker on and off. So that would be under radio, and then you should have WN. It should have been noise blanker, wide noise blanker. Yeah, I have to look and see where he had. To be honest with you, I haven't really played with this in a while, but the active slice wide noise blanker. There you go. And so now that button that I just hit test, that will toggle my wide noise blanker on and off on the radio, which it's doing. And so again, that's one thing you could do. You can again customize the icon. You can set it from a file. You can create a new icon, or you can open up the library of icons. There's a bunch of icons that are really designed for video editing, audio editing, things like that. Um, but again, the documentation. Mark has done a good job of documenting the FRStack part of it. The WebSocket part is where it's something that looking at looking at flows that people have done and then seeing what's been done and then using that to build your own is the best way to learn how to do the WebSocket stuff. So, for example, we'll take the tune command here on the Stream Deck. Now, when you send a WebSocket command from the Stream Deck to Node-RED, you're going to do at WS, and again, we've installed that WebSocket plugin, and in Node-RED, and I'm going to go back to my Node-RED editor here. Okay, in the Node-RED editor, under Manage Palette, one of the things we're going to do is under Install, you're going to look for WebSocket proxy. Let's see, hold on a second. I know I have it installed, so uh, it's in the list of nodes that I recommend to right here. Node-RED contrib Stream Deck WS, this one here. So in the wiki for installing Node-RED on a Raspberry Pi, at the end of that wiki, I have a list of recommended nodes that you install in addition to the standard nodes, and that is in the list of recommended nodes to install. So you would go to Manage Palette, you would go to Install, you'd put in the name, hit Enter, and there it is, and you see it's installed already. So you would just click Install, and it would install that node, and when you're done, you would hit up here, you would hit deploy, and it would then be that node is now active that can be used. So the WebSocket gives you the Stream Deck in and out nodes here. So if I scroll down, you'll see they're down here in the bottom. Right here, Stream Deck input, Stream Deck output. Arvin, you had a question? Okay, guess not. So Stream Deck input and output. Now, again, you're going to have this that I'm going to be providing that's already built, so you don't have to go through the pain of building this. Um, so part of this was built from Tormod originally, and then I and myself and Alan WA9WUD, we've added our stuff to it along the way. And so right now we have a HTTP listener right now. So uh, this is the WebSocket in Node. So this is coming in WebSocket in Node. And so when you send that WS and then the address of the Raspberry Pi and then the port number 1880, which is what the Node-RED runs on, when you send that command in, it's going to come into this node here. So what I'm sending from the Stream Deck is WS colon slash slash and then the IP address of my Node-RED server colon 1880 slash Stream Deck. And so that's what comes in. It comes into the Stream Deck. And so that's actually coming in onto this page here. I have two different pages. I have Stream Deck and Stream Deck Proxy. I haven't gotten around to combining them to one page, but that comes into here. And so to show you this, what I'm going to do is take a debug node, put this here, and we have the debug is open on the right. And when I hit the tune button on the Stream Deck, it didn't do anything. Yeah, how about that? Oh, there's the amp. Okay, so here I just error property. Yes. Where is the amp? Yeah, so the power genes coming in here. Yeah. So, all right. So anyway, when I hit the button, it comes in and it creates a pair. Um, it would automatically create in your context data under Stream Deck. You're going to have your buttons, and for rotor, and then the buttons over here. You have the different button. This is under the other flow. It creates a pair in Node-RED. So you'll have the in and out. So when the information comes in, Stream Deck in, it actually do this. So here you go. So when I hit the button, you got two actions. You got it when the action was pushed, key down is the event, and the payload, it doesn't matter what the payload is, but I'll hit it again here. And again, with the key down, you get it in the payload. What you're looking at is setting his ID is PGXL state. And that in the Stream Deck is where you would show you this in the Stream Deck. Would have been easier if I had regular monitors. In the Stream Deck, when I create the PGXL button for the amp, it's sending it to that address that I mentioned, and then it's sending the button ID. And each button on the Stream Deck has to have a unique name, unique ID. In this case, since it's Power Genius, I called it PGXL and then state. And the state in this case is either standby or operate. So that button comes in, and when I push it, I get a key down event. When I release it, you get a key up event. So it comes in through the Stream Deck in node. Let me switch back. And it comes into the Stream Deck in node as a key in event and a key out event. I come into the switch node and I say in message payload event under key down, when the button is pushed, it'll pass the message through. And then what I do is I'm sending it off to various places. And this one, you can't really see the name. And so it's sending it to the Power Genius flow. These are what they call link out nodes that send information from one flow to another flow. So in order to get information from this flow, which is my Stream Deck flow, in order to get it to the Flex Radio flow, the Tuner Genius flow, the Power Genius flow, and so on, I use link out nodes. So it sends it to the Power Genius, sends it to the Tuner Genius flow, sends it to my digital logger flow for the AC outlets, and then the rotor flow, and the K4, which is disabled. I don't have the K4 anymore. So it takes those button pushes and sends them out. So when it sees the PGXL state, it's coming and passing it, sends it out this top one, and it goes to my Power Genius flow, and that comes in over here. Uh, and I don't know why it says TGX. Oh, right here. And so it comes in over here, and then the switch node I use says if uh, if the message equals PGXL state, then it passes it. Otherwise, it just ignores the message coming in. So I did that just to keep extra stuff from coming into the flow. The function node here I wrote is pretty much if and it goes and it pulls the amplifier, and in the global context, it will set the state of the amplifier, whether it's operate or standby. And so what it does is first thing it does is it says get the state of the amplifier. And if the amplifier is in standby, when I push that button, it then sends a command here to tell it to go into operate. Operate equals 1. And so it says else if state equals idle, which means it's in operate but not transmitting, it will put it into operate equals 0, which is standby. So it's pretty simple if else statement where when you push the button, it says if it's in operate, put it to standby. If it's in standby, put it to operate. And in turn, that passes that off to the amplifier to execute the command. The amplifier sends the output of the command down into the switch node here. And the switch node basically is looking for a message that says state equals. And if because there's a lot of information comes out of the amplifier. So it's looking for the state equals information coming out. And then it's saying, okay, it converts it and then into an array. And the array then goes into the switch node here. And in the switch node, I broke it down. Come on, there it goes. Where I have every possible thing in that state, the state of the amplifier. The state is, operate standby, band A, band B. It'll tell you what band it's on the A and the B side. And then everything in there. Flex A, Flex B. If you have more than one flex radio, it'll tell you which radios on each side. AC voltage, your DC voltage, your current, your peak current, your forward power, your peak forward power. So everything gets broken out in this switch node. And then these function nodes just format it to go out to the dashboard nodes in Node-RED. So for example, the forward power, it just basically parses the information that I need for the forward power, and in turn sends it to a UI level node, and that UI level node is that little node where it says PGXL forward, that little bar graph right there. So as I'm transmitting, that bar graph goes up and down and shows me my peak power. And just as a little FYI, when you set that up, and I just deleted it, I deleted the node by accident, so I can just hit reload without saving, and I'm back in business. Um, The you can sit in here. You can set delays. You can set your range. I have it from 0 to 1,800 watts. It'll be green up to 1,000 watts. It'll be yellow up to 1,500, and then above 1,500 it turns red. And this is where you can send these. Normal is green. Warning is yellow or orange, I should say, and then red. So and the units are watts. You could set decimal places if you wanted to, but you don't need decimals at that kind of power. And then the segments, you can set your animation if you want. You can set if you want it super fine, or if you want it a little bit coarse on the segments of the bar graph meter. And again, when you look at my flows, feel free to poke around them and play with them, plagiarize them, use them to however you like. Same thing with the Tuner Genius. When you push a button, Tuner Genius information comes in over here and comes through a switch node. And the switch node says if it's TGXL tune, it sends it out the first connection, which comes up into this function node. It's going to send a hello world into the tune button, and the tune button is then going to send out of the function node the command to initiate the auto tune. So all it's doing, the hello world, is just commanding that tune button to do something. And then the tune button in turn is commanding the function node to send the command to do the auto tune. Uh, if on the tune, if I were to push the state, which is operate or standby, it goes out number 2, comes into this function node. And again, there's a variable that's stored in context. And it says if the state is in standby, set operate state equals 1, which is going to put it into operate. And then if it's in operate, set the operate set equals 0, which is going to put it into standby. So same as the Power Genius. Then uh, the Antenna Genius is pretty interesting. I really haven't done much with the Antenna Genius with the Stream Deck yet. I'm going to be playing around with that where you can actually select antennas. But again, all you need to do is get that button, a unique ID on the button in the Stream Deck. You can name it whatever you want, and then have that button come into Node-RED. And once it's in Node-RED, you can have it do whatever you want. So I use antenna 1, antenna 5, antenna 6, and antenna 7 port on my Antenna Genius. And this Antenna Genius flow is written for 16 antennas. Somebody wanted a stacked AG flow, so I wrote it for them. Um, and so I've disabled antenna 2, antenna 3, antenna 4, and antenna 8. So they're disabled. I would just click enable and then deploy it, and it would re-enable that button. So right now, those buttons do not show up in my dashboard on Node-RED because they're disabled. And so again, it would be real easy to come in with a button from the Stream Deck that would be for antenna one, let's say, you would just have the link in coming from the Stream Deck flow, and you would just tie it into antenna one for the A side, have another button tied in for antenna one on the B side, and do the same thing for your other, however many antennas you have. So you can have a page on the Stream Deck set up for your antenna selection and be able to quickly select antennas, um, through the Antenna Genius. If you have multiple antennas on the Antenna Genius on a specific band, for selecting between different receive antennas on the Flex, between antenna one, RXA, RXB, things like that, you could use the REST commands through FRStack. That would be easier. But this is to control the Antenna Genius. And again, with the Antenna Genius, the way I wrote it, it actually sets the colors of the buttons depending on what is. I didn't want to hit delete. Well, that's why you don't deploy it. But yeah, so anyway, so right now, for example, I'm going to do this and do that. Set that band to 80 and set this 2 and 2. All right, there. All right, so what I've done here real quick is you'll see on my flow here now, my antenna genius right now on antenna one is on 20 meters. It's on my 5 band Yagi, but I can also switch to the G5 RV or the dummy load. And so it gives me that ability to switch antennas. It should have switched, making a liar out of me. But there it goes. I don't know why the G5 RV is not switching off. I probably don't have it selected for transmit. I probably only have it selected for receive only. Um, so you could, select your antennas from Node Red, and it'd be very easy to tie a button in from the Stream Deck to do the same thing. And then you can see the B side. I'm on my G5 RV on 80 meters right now. All right. Any questions so far? I know we're kind of covering a lot. And again, once you get these flows and you load them and start playing with them, for people who are currently using Node-RED, I would suggest picking up another SD card, formatting it up, reloading your Pi with a fresh copy, and then load the flows and play around with it, and then you know start familiarizing yourself with it before you start doing anything with the Pi or the Node-RED server that you use daily. So yeah, it's pretty neat. And again, the FRStack information is very well documented. Um, and his Stream Deck, I just clicked on where it said stream, from this link here, where he's on his FRStack Stream Deck page. I went to version 1.4, and then there's a link that says Stream Deck instructions, and it gives you all the information of all the different commands. And if you want to look at a command, want to look at RF power, it tells you RF power exactly what it does, and how to, what to configure. So, and again, in his sample, a lot of these are already defined that you can see exactly how they're configured. And what else we have? Rotor controller, pretty simple. Again, on the Stream Deck, I have pre-programmed buttons, and so if you look at the Stream Deck, I have pre-programmed buttons here. So let's say the one for Europe, 50 degrees. So I just called it 50 and then EU. So it's 50 and then EU, and by hitting 50 and then enter and then EU, it stacks it nice on the button. It's sending to that same address, ws colon slash slash IP address colon 1880 slash stream deck. So that's going to be pretty much the same. And then I'm sending rotor 50. And I send rotor and then the number. And in the in my stream deck flow on Node-RED, uh, so in the Stream Deck flow in Node-RED, this is DLI. It comes out, it sends it off to TGXL, DLI, and then the rotor. And so in my rotor flow, that button comes in over here, and it says the switch node says if it contains rotor, matches regex means that matches regex, does it have that expression? Does it have that word in the information coming in? So if it contains rotor and the function, the capitalization is important, so I use lowercase. So if it contains rotor, it passes the message, comes into the function node, and all this does is it parses out the number. It says, okay, message payload substring 0, comma 5. And so it's saying message as equals 0.5, and then it says if it equals rotor, then what it's saying is it's message payload substring 5, comma 3. So the first one, 0, comma 5, starting at the first letter, the first character, I should say, it's going to take 5 characters, ROTOR, right? Rotor, 5 characters. And it's 0 is the beginning, starts at 0. So it says, okay, it's going to parse out that first 5. If that equals the word rotor, then it says, okay, then it's going to, you got this bracket here, and then it's going to execute this command. And the command is then to say, take the original payload and starting at 5 and then 3 characters. Now, 5 is, remember, starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5 would be the sixth character. And in this case, if I'm sending 50, it's going to take the 5, the 0, and then there is no third character, but it's going to take 50, and that's going to be the message payload. That's going to be the payload that it sends out. So it's going to send 50 into here, into this node, and it's going to say uh, it's 00 plus the payload, and then it's going to take the last 3. So it's going to add 2 zeros to the beginning, so it'll be 0050, but it's going to take the last 3, 050, and then it's going to send that with an AP0 command um, to the rotor. So it's going to send uh, that 50 to the rotor, and it's going to turn. So the AP is on the high gain DCU1 protocol, which my RT21 is programmed for. That is the protocol for sending a command to turn the rotor. So it would send whatever number after the AP0 and turns the antenna. Pretty simple. There's no feedback on this going back to the button in the Stream Deck. Same thing with the digital logger buttons. The digital logger buttons on the Stream Deck are set up, like for example, we'll take outlet 3. It's DLI, Digital Loggers Incorporated, and just number 3 for outlet 3. So it's DLI 3. That's the button ID. Every button has to have a unique ID. So it turns around and sends that into the into the Stream Deck flow. That sends it out to DLI, and in my DLI web switch, that comes in over here and comes into the switch node. And I did a little different, and I just said I look at what comes in, the ID that comes in, and if it's DLI 3, it goes out output number 3. So output number 3 comes in over here, and it says if it's false, it then sets it to true. So if the outlet is off, it turns it on. If the outlet is true, if it's on, it turns it off. And so that's pretty much how it works. And with the DLI, it will actually poll using curl commands. It polls the DLI web switch and gets the actual button or outlet status information. So that outlet status information comes in and comes through this split switch, and then it parses the relay status, and then comes down into this split relays here, which does a bunch of math, and then the output of this goes for relays one, two, yeah, outlets one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight. And right now I'm not using the ones in the middle there, so I have them disabled. So I'm just using outlet one and two and seven and eight. But so this information comes in, and it not only will set the it not only sets the uh, information within Node-RED, but it also sets the information for the button in the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck button, it goes out here back to the Stream Deck. It comes out with this parse relay state, comes back to the Stream Deck, and that's what comes into here that then goes out and sends everything out for the 8 outlets. And that brings us to our next topic. And next topic is when we send information to a button on the Stream Deck, you can do several things with it. You can have uh, where toggles between two static images. So you can either use the library of images that they have. Um, so if I were to come into here and let's just do this, I'll go to page 3 where there's no buttons. And what I'm going to do is I'm doing it in the background here because the reason I want to do this is I want to go open the Stream Deck library. Oh, okay. Yeah, it opens it up separate. It's not the web page, but you can actually build it. There's a page where you can build Stream Deck icons. I can spell real well. But anyway, so they actually have where you can actually go in and customize and build your own icons for whatever you want, and you can either make your own icons or they have a whole bunch to choose from, and you could choose ones that might be something that you want to use. So when you push a button, you can have it toggle the icon on the button from one state to the other state. If you don't get feedback from if you don't get feedback from a device, you can have it do that if you want. It's preferable if the device, like a Power Genius, can tell you what its state is. So what I do with the Power Genius in the Stream Deck is I turn around and get the status to come back to the Stream Deck. And then in the amp stamp right here, I actually sat there and I load. What I do is I hit set from file, and I can set the file for what I want. And so the amp standby and operate, and then you can actually load custom files. And this is new. They came up with this new 7.1 software, and I haven't had time to really play with it. but you can see you can change all kinds of icons here. I don't know if you can, I don't know if that's highlighted or not. If not, I can highlight it. Um, it's, but anyway, close that. No. But yeah, so anyway, you can create a whole bunch of icons. And what I've done with the amp is I created two icons myself. One that's gray and it says amp standby, and another one that is green and it's amp operate. And in the Node-RED editor under Power Genius, actually it's under Stream Deck. So under the amp operate standby from TGXL, all right, this is from the Power Genius here. So from the Power Genius, it gets its information coming in. This is telling it what the status is. And this function node is going to say if the message state equals standby, and what this whole thing here is, uh, this whole big huge thing is what they call a base 64 image. So you take there's websites that will go and say convert JPEG to base 64, right? And there's a free online one, and so there's but anyway, you could sit there like JPEG to base 64. And I could just sit there and, it wants you to log on. There's sites that are there that you could do it for free. So you don't have to have log in. But if I were to take a JPEG and drop it in, uh, this one wants you to it's ad based and it's a piece of, you know what. Um, but if I were to just take any JPEG and, it wants you to sign in and convert, I mean, sign in, but I'm not going to sign in, but it will actually sit there, take the JPEG of the back of the radio, and it's going to convert it to a base 64 image. And if you want it to be a regular image, this would be it here. This whole big long thing. You just hit the copy here. And if I bring, if I were to sit there and look at that, it's a huge thing that you saw in the editor. You would paste that in there for that image, and that image would then be on the button. If it, and you again, there's one image if it's in standby, and then there's another image when it's in operate, and then there's a second base 64 image. So you take the base 64 image, you send it in, you download and install this image converter icon. And again, this is all done for you. You just have to install these extra nodes in Node-RED, which is when you build your Node-RED server at the end of the wiki, it tells you to install these extra nodes. So this is already going to be built for you. You can just edit it and plagiarize it to your liking. And but it basically takes message.image, which is base 64. The output is base 64, and it sends it into here, which does some JSON to it, and it sets the context and sets the payload to image equals image, and then the last thing it does is sends it out here to the Power Genius. So the name is Stream Deck. That's the in and out name. Our button name, the button ID was PGXL state, so it knows where to send it back, and it's going to send message dot image. as a base 64 image, and it sends that to the button, and that's what appears on the button. And the next one is gets a little bit more complicated in it uses SVG graphics. And SVG graphics allow you to do animated graphics. As you saw, I have the rotor azimuth, which is right here. This one here, azimuth from the rotor comes in, and this SVG sits there and it does all this math, and it's going to create the button that looks like a circle with the little wedge, which is your beam, your beam, and the where the beam is pointing in the beam width of the beam. And in the center of the circle, it puts the azimuth. And on the Stream Deck, that appears as this button here, which is the circle, and you see 359 degrees, and it's pointing north. So if I were to sit there and hit Europe, it's going to sit there, and you see it updates every couple of seconds or every second or so. So it's going to turn to 50 degrees, and it updates that button on the Stream Deck. So I know at a quick glance where my antenna is pointing without having to take my eyes off of the logging program if I'm in the middle of a contest or something. And, again, yeah, I have the pre-programmed buttons right next to it that I can just quickly go different areas that are most common. If you want to get a little bit more accurate, you can then bring up on Node-RED, you can bring up the map and click on a country. You can, again, in Node-RED, you can put in the person's call sign and hit enter. And it will do a lookup. I have it hooked up right now and wired in with AC log. Um, but you can modify it to whatever logbook program you use, as long as the logbook program allows you to send a command into the program to say, look up a call sign and return the information on that user. And then you take that information, it comes back, and you find the azimuth and you parse out, you cut out that azimuth part and send that azimuth into Node-RED to show on your dashboard and to send to the rotor and turn the rotor as well. Any questions? And then getting back into that's one of the things with the SVG graphics. And again, Tormod LA9VKA gets the credit for this, for that button, and this filter button down here too, which is pretty cool. If you wanted to see what the bandwidth of your radio is real quick, you could turn around and I have a filter button here, and I have a Stream Deck 32 button, and I also have a Stream Deck Plus. And the Stream Deck Plus, you see, I have different pages. The first page I have, and I'll show you the programming on this next, but I have the same filter button again. Um, and the nice thing about this is in the Stream Deck, when you start doing the programming, let's say I wanted to have my radio on power button, but I want to have it on the Stream Deck Plus. I can right click it, I can copy that button, go to the Stream Deck Plus. I can go to a button here and I can just right click it and go to paste. I hit replace. Now I have a radio on button on my Stream Deck Plus. So you can copy between devices, and all the information for sending that command as a WebSocket command to turn on that outlet, which is an AC relay that does the remote on in the back of the radio. So that's all that does. But that button right now, I just copied that whole thing over, including all the commands. So, and you can move these things around between pages. So if you don't want it on page one, you can copy it. You can move to page three. You can paste it, and you know, there it is. And you notice initially the icon was different, and then what happened is it got the information from the DLI and updated its status to being on right now. So the different pages on the Stream Deck Plus, we'll go into this and then I'll go into that filter node, which is pretty cool. Stream Deck Plus gives you 8 buttons. It gives you this LCD touchscreen bar and 4 knobs. And you can program the knobs for different functions. You can put the information here on the touchscreen bar to tell you what the knobs do, what their value is currently, and again, the buttons, you can have whatever you want for the buttons. And so right now, like on the first page, my first knob, I just clicked on the knob and it sliced a volume, SLC a vol, so it would fit on the label up there. And you'll see that my slice A volume right now is set at 54. If I rotate that knob on the Stream Deck Plus, you'll see the value is going up, and I have it set to go up in step of 1. So I can turn the slice volume up and down from the Stream Deck Plus instead of having to go into Smart SDR and play with the sliders with the mouse. So again, you're not taking your mouse away from your logging program. The second button I have is your AGCT, probably one of the best kept secrets on the Flex radio. When you're listening on a very noisy band, adjusting your AGCT does wonders for your hearing. And so again, it's at 50, and I could just turn it down to wherever I want. And then the third and fourth knobs are slice B volume, slice B AGCT. And then if I go to page 2, I have an RF power knob. I'm set at 28 watts now. I could turn my power up. I could turn my power down. Tune power is the next knob. I could set my tune power to whatever I want. I normally run 25 watts. Notice the tune power, I have it set up going in steps of 5. When you set up these are all done with REST commands going to FRStack. So I'm using URL1 to talk to FRStack on the PC right now. And when I have it set here, I'm telling it it's a radio command. The tune power is a radio command. So I set radio, and then under list of commands, there's tune power. And I'm just doing up and down. If you do up and down, it goes in steps of 5 automatically. So for power, it does steps of 5. If you wanted more granularity, if you could do 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 25, or 50. So if you want to get really fine with the power, you can do it in steps of 1. But for tune power, for doing the Tuner Genius, 25 watts is my normal tune power. So steps of 5 are fine. For RF power, I want to be a little bit more granular. So under the parameter, I set it to 1 to go in steps of 1. So I can be a little bit more fine tuning with my drive power for the amplifier. And again, it's a radio command, and that would be RF power. So you can see using the REST commands here with the knobs, it's really easy because it's just a pick list. What do you want to do? So if we go to page 3, I have received low cut and high cut for my receiver bandwidth. So here I said it's the active slice. It's the slice that I'm currently listening to. And so my active slice, that knob is going to control the low cut and then the high cut for the bandpass on receive. So it's the active slice, or you can dedicate it to whatever slice you want. And then it's filter low, filter high. You could do all kinds of different commands here as well, but I happen to do active slice, filter low. And in this case, I went with 50 hertz steps. So I'm at 2150 right now, and I can go out to 3K. So, and then if you notice the high cut's at minus 50, and it's because I'm on lower side, it's minus. Upper side would be positive. Um, So right now it's minus 50 to minus 3000. So it's 50 to 3000 is my bandpass. So it's a quick way to set it. I can add my transmit filter if I want. So all I got to do is take that knob and under FRStack, you'll notice there's FRStack encoder over here on the right. I'm just going to drag that onto the knob. I'm going to give it a TX filter low, and URL1 is the URL for the PC for FRStack, and it's going to be TX slice, and it's going to be filter low, and actually not TX slice. What am I doing? It's a radio command. I'm sorry. TX filter low. So you transmit audio is a radio command. The receive filters are a slice command. So it's radio TX filter low, and we're just going to set it to 50. And the other knob here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do an encoder, and we're going to call this TX filter high. And same thing, it's a radio command, TX filter high, and we're going to set that to 50. So now I just programmed it, and if I turn the knob on here, I can change my transmit filter, low cut and high cut. And we'll turn it down from 4,000. Be the courteous neighbor that we are. All right. This button up here, and it doesn't matter if we're on a regular Stream Deck or Stream Deck Plus. This is another SVG button that Tormod did, which is really cool because what it does is uses SVG graphics, and it shows you what your current receiver, your active slice receiver bandpass is set to. So not only do you have it on the knobs itself, but like if I'm on page one, I have that there, but I don't have the knob there. The knob's actually on page three, but I can see what my bandpass filter is currently set to. So as I adjust that, you can see that the numbers in there change to show you and reflect over here. You can see that it changes to reflect what your receiver bandpass filter is set to. So it's another one of the buttons that he's done using SVG graphics, where he's kind of did the graphics for the sine wave and then superimposed the low cut and the high cut on top of it. So again, kudos go out to Tormod for his work on that. Um, that's kind of what I had planned for kind of a demonstration. I know I went through it kind of quick, even though it's already 9:35. But let's open it up. I'm sure you guys have questions, and you might want to unmute if you have questions.
Dave, is it possible to stack control panels or buttons?
Yes. Yes, you can, if you want to stack commands on a single button, is what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to just go to page three here to a blank button. In here on the Stream Deck, up here you have multi-action. Under multi-action, you can come into a multi-action here, drag it in, and now at the multi-action, you can just sit there and say, okay, I want to create a WS proxy button. I want to create opening a website, and I want to create changing the brightness on my Stream Deck, and whatever you want to do. And you could just stack these commands. So if you wanted something to say, set the power on the radio to 25 watts, and then, send a tune command to Node Red. And in Node Red, you would delay that command by, say, 10 seconds. It would do a tune cycle and then come back. And then And then you could have it set, set power or whatever. You can do stuff like that where you can stack different commands. Or let's say you want to have stack commands, say go to 40 meters CW 7074. You can actually have memories in FRStack and have one button go right to that memory, or you can have a button programmed up, which is a multi-action, which would change the radio to 40 meters, set it to the GU, and then set the frequency to 7074. So yes, you can, any of these commands on the right here, which are not just for radio. I mean, there's commands here to open up web pages. Um, so if I go to the website, for example, like the WS proxy, I didn't define what we're sending into into Node-RED, but you would set that up and define that. Uh, Website, you would put the title and you would say Google, and I'll remove these two. Uh, and we'll just leave the one multi-action for now. And the URL is, right, and default browser. So now if I hit that button, right, and it's on, so I'm done here. So the multi-action is done. Why is this? Hmm. Oh yeah, here's where you customize your delays, as I said. So you can sit there and add another command if you wanted to, and you could do a delay, and you can have delays in here between action one and two and stuff, and you can actually set your delays. So that's a new feature that they added. But all right, so we did our multi-action button there, right here. I just use the default icon, and if I hit it, it's going to bring up my let's see. Yeah, and brought up, I'll do this again so you guys can see this. We'll go to my outline here, which is on Microsoft Edge. And when I hit that button, there's Google. So again, that's just one action, but you can stack commands in the multi-action, and you can turn around and some of the other things you could do, in addition to multi-action, you have multi-action switch, which the multi-action switch here, you can have it so you have action one and action two. So one and two is when you push the button, it does one thing, and when you let go, it does something else. So you can actually set up uh, for action one when you push it. You might want to push it and have it send a command to key the radio. And then action two would be when you let go, send a command and unkey the radio. So you can have a push on and, push on and then hold the push PTT button if you wanted. But so the multi-action switch is, button down, button up. And then the multi-action is where you can just stack things. You also have a delay. So you can actually in the multi-action you can have it say open up Google, add a delay of whatever you want, and you could define that delay 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second, and then you could say okay, do something else, send a command to the radio, whatever. But yeah, so you can stack commands, you can add the delays in between. Um, You can do toggle between the do the toggle between button down, button up. Um, for soundboard, you can play and stop audio, but that's usually designed for different audio programs on your computer. The Stream Deck works extremely well. If any of you do YouTube videos and or any kind of video editing, OBS Studio, this works extremely well with OBS Studio. There's plugins designed for OBS Studio. But yeah, there's all kinds of they have virtual stream deck that you can toggle on and off. Uh, there's hotkeys that you can set up where you can uh, have a hotkey and then the hotkey would control Alt Q or something on the keyboard, whatever. As long as it's not being used by another program, you can set up hotkeys that would simulate pushing the button on the Stream Deck. Um, and then, under the system, you have, open up a website, hotkeys, open, just to open programs. So open application. So you can do open application and then you could browse it to the app. Uh, and, like Antenna Genius utility, you want to do right here, I want to do this one. I want to open up, I do. So I want to do, say, say I want to do Smart SDR, right? So I would want to do Antenna Genius, Smart SDR, and, Smart SDR for Windows 4.1.3, and so on and so forth. So now you can have a button that will open up all these applications at the push of a button. Or you can set them to open, or you can set them to quit. And so it's pretty cool. And then on a long press, so a short press would open and a long press would quit. So for just a haha, which I don't have running right now, I do have Smart SDR closed. And just out of curiosity on this multi-action button that I just did, I'm going to short press it, and it opened up Smart SDR and it opened up my Antenna Genius. And now when I'm long press it and should have shut it down. It didn't. Oh, I probably didn't define the actions to shut down, but anyway. No, long press is quit application. Do force quit application. I've never tried it, so this is something new. Good question. So, yeah, I'm not sure how long a long press has to go, but yeah, it's not closing. I'm not sure why. I don't know. It's supposed to, but all right. Well, I guess the force quit doesn't work on a multi-action, but all right. So multi-action force quit doesn't work. All right. But you get the idea, though. You can have a button out, open an app, and then force quit the app or quit the application if it was a single app. Like, say, if I took the button underneath and I did the same thing. If I go back to system and I just go open application and I say, okay, what application do I want to open? And I say, okay, amateur contact log. Let's close it. It's open now. All right, so I have that AC log, and if I hit the button to open it, oh, and okay, it's set to quit. All right. So I open it, and it brought up my AC log. AC log's up, and wait for everything to load in it before I close it. And then when I hit and held it, it closed it. So it doesn't work in a multi-state, but it works as a single button. But and again, so you also have uh, random action, just as random things. It's just kind of like for demonstrations. Navigation, you can create folders. You can switch profiles. You can have under Stream Deck, you can have, I'm running my Node-RED copy. You can have Node-RED copy or default profile. So you can switch back and forth between profiles on the Stream Deck. So you can actually create a button that would allow you to switch profiles. The previous page, next page, we covered that before. So we can just go between the pages. You can go to page button where you would have a button that you can set up, and you would just select your page number that you want to go to. If you want to go back to page one, you can just have that button set up to go automatically to page one. It gives you number one on the button. Um, and then there's a page indicator that tells you what page number you're on if you wanted, so you know what page you're on in the Stream Deck. Uh, the soundboard, play audio, stop audio, we covered that. Stream Deck, you have the timer, brightness. You can have it go to sleep or toggle the virtual Stream Deck. System, again, website, the hotkey switch. You can open application, close. Text, you can have it enter text for you automatically. So that will, you can have pre-composed text that you just click that and it will paste that text in. If you have text that you are repetitively typing in, you can have a button that you just hit that button and it pastes the text in. Multimedia function. Uh, you have a play pause button or previous track. This is if you're listening to music, it's useful to have. Quick controls as you're listening to music working on the computer. Um, Under the WebSocket proxy, again, in proxy multi-state. So proxy, we went over. That's how it gets the information into Node-RED. And the proxy multi-state is where you have, again, you have two buttons. So you have a press down, an on and an off on the button. So again, you would have where you can load one image uh, for one function and then another image for the other, and you would toggle between the two here for programming, and you would put the command in that you want to do. That would be if it's something that you're going to set up for, let's say you want to push it and have PTT on, and then you push it again, PTT off. You can do that, sending it into Node-RED, and then Node-RED would send the API command to the Flex radio or ICOM Yaesu, whatever radio you have. Uh, then the FRStack, we covered the REST call, the toggle, the level's pretty cool. So FRStack level, if I put that up here next to the tune button, I'm going to go slice A, action, and I'm going to go, I want to look at my AGC level, and in the parameter, you can do up or down, and you can set it. So right now the level is 42. If you don't, you can, you can just have it whatever you want for up or down. And then, but right now the AGC level's 42 on that. And you can delete that. I'll clean all this up when I'm done. Um, and the FRStack state we covered before. And then the volume controller down the bottom here, where you have auto software detection, manual software detection, uh, input device control, so output device control. So you can actually set this up if you have uh, multiple microphones, multiple speakers or headphones, whatever, and you can select your input and output sources accordingly. Um, and again, with the plugins, there's uh, like OBS Studio. If I get that and I load that, um, it brought up a web page here. Probably wants me to sign in. It's in the Elgato Marketplace, but yeah, so it would want me to sign in order to install it, which I'm not going to do right now. So, but that's what that would do. It would OBS Studio and OBS Tools are pretty cool if you do a lot of video editing. And when I was making videos, I would use it to start and stop the recording. If I wanted to overdub any audio or video over when I'm speaking, I can easily bring up multi-track and select which video source, which audio source, and it comes real handy when you're doing a lot of the editing. But you can see all the different plugins right here that are just straight out of the box available. Elgato Camera Hub. I do have one of their cameras I'm using right now. So actually, I have to stop the stream deck. Oh well. But yeah, so you get the idea. Any questions? I know this has been going on about 2 hours. So any questions?
Got another question, Dave. Two
Yeah.
questions. Um, One, is it possible to run two stream decks at the same time if you have the mini and then if you have the one with the buttons? And the other question, is it possible to, let's say, create a file for the stream deck that, like a contest file where you just load up everything that you need for contesting and then load it up in your stream deck, and then let's say you have another file for just rag chew, and then you can load that up and it would change your stream deck to your rag chew file.
Yeah, I'm running a Stream Deck XL and a Stream Deck Plus right now at the same time. So yes, you can have multiple Stream Decks. That's no problem. You can even have multiple of the same model, and they can be independent of each other as far as the programming. And what you would do is you would create profiles. You would set up your Stream Deck however you would like for the contest. If you want it for antenna switching, being able to whatever functions you would need to access, instead of drilling down into the menu in Smart SDR, you could put it on a button in the Stream Deck and have it right near your fingertips. So during the contest, your mouse is really not leaving the logging program, and you can create another profile that would then have all your buttons and everything for your normal rag chewing and everyday use. Maybe you have a button that's going to load up Google or something, another button that's going to load up your logging program, or start up the radio and other accessories in the proper order. So yeah, profiles would be what you would want to use from contesting to everyday use. And again, you can have multiple stream decks on at once. And I see there are a couple of things in the chat. Can you run into Docker? Yes. On the nodred.org site, which leads me to the second question here from Arvin. This is being recorded, and I am going to post this up on my YouTube channel, and I'll put it up on the Flex community site, and the Flex Facebook page when it's posted. I'm going to put everything in a zip file, all the flows that you've seen tonight that I have in Node-RED, including the Stream Deck and the Stream Deck proxy flow that I've created, my templates that I have for the Stream Deck and the Stream Deck Plus, and the plugins that you'll need. The one plugin you'll download from the Stream Deck software, and the other plugin I'll have a link to it. I'll create a PDF that will kind of have like an outline of what we've gone over tonight. And in the outline will be links to the nodred.org website, the Node-RED for Ham Radio website, W3II's website for FRStack, the FRStack for the Raspberry Pi and Linux, the page for that, his GitHub site where you're going to download the plugin for the Stream Deck. So all of these links that we've been going through that I've been bringing up, I'll put them all in a PDF, and I'll include the profiles, my flows for Node-RED, and put it all together. So if anybody wants to take take a Raspberry Pi with a blank SD card, follow through the wiki to install the 64-bit operating system, and then just put Node-RED on your computer. I mean, not Node-RED, but put FRStack on your computer, and you'd be able to load my flows, and you'll have everything working the way I have it working right here tonight. And then take a look at how things are set up in the Stream Deck and the Stream Deck proxy flow. That's the main thing in getting the WebSocket commands to and from the Stream Deck to Node-RED. And then take a look at the profiles for the Stream Deck on how it's sending the commands, the REST commands to FRStack. So yes, this is being recorded and it will be posted. Any other questions? We're just coming up to 2 hours, so it was a nice night. Thank you for attending, and there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to want to watch